Hey everybody, it is Dak here from the Ad Boys, and today I'm going to be responding to some of your comments on the last video that I put out on the new skills. In fact, today we're also getting an update on the vote on the new skills. As I'm recording this, we're still a few hours away from actually getting to see the result to the polls, so I want to do the reaction to the comments now, and then at the end of the video, I will toss in there the reaction to when I get to go check out the poll and see which skill won, if any of them. What if none of them got any votes? What if all of them got all the votes? Thanks to a new skill being such a big deal in general, there actually were kind of a lot of comments on the last video, so there's a lot to talk about with this one. Bro, look at that. There's 69 comments. Nice. Let's go ahead and jump in with some wholesome. Colby hit me with the always appreciate these quick breakdowns, and then Gojo Productions hit me with the thanks for the recap and the breakdown. Thank you guys for watching the breakdown in some way, shape, or form. Even if you disagreed with my opinions on the skills, I appreciate that you guys appreciated just having the information and talking about the new skill in some way, shape, or form. Between shamanism and sailing for me, although if taming did get the top vote, I wouldn't be upset. Like you said, just really want a new skill at this point. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been able to level up a skill that I haven't leveled up already, so it would be interesting just to see a new one. So I like the idea that you're keeping an open mind about it. Like, even if we did get taming, it would be kind of dope to grind, but I don't know. I'm a fan of all three, but taming definitely was 3 out of 3 for me. I think shamanism is the best skill of the 3, but I think sailing is the best first skill of the 3 because sailing is quite isolated from the rest of the game. That might work in its favor. It allows the devs to get a grip on how a new skill works without it affecting the main game too much. All right, that's interesting. That's interesting. It may not mess with too many metas or like fuck anything up too bad if sailing was mostly isolated, which is part of the reason. We'll get into this a little more later. A lot of players are talking about the mini game buzzword. I do think in general that a new skill should in some way incorporate buffs into the other game. Like, it should affect the game in other ways. And I guess sailing still, it's going to be just like unlocking different methods is kind of the base thing that they're going for. But I do think getting some sort of buff out of sailing would be interesting. On that note, though, here we go. The booty suggestion, I understand at face value, but I think it makes it too much like a minigame. Generally, anything with points creeps more and more into the minigame territory. I'd rather have a skill be its own navigational skill that allows you to access other methods of training and other skills as well as monetary rewards to both further sailing and other skills. I do think, first of all, both things could happen. Like, it could be about navigation and unlocking stuff, and while you do that, you could get rewards through this sort of booty system or a point system. And I do see how a point system makes it feel more like a mini game, but that brings us already back to the mini game buzzword. I'm not sure that I fully understand why a skill like can't be like a mini game. A lot of skills, as they've been improving the skills in the game currently, they've just been adding mini games to it. I do feel like a skill in a mini game can be very similar, but like just about anything could just be labeled like a mini game. Like, it's all a bunch of mini games, so I don't really see why if it's like a mini game, why it can't be a skill either. But I'm completely aware that this is not like an uncommon opinion that if it's a minigame, it shouldn't be a skill. Or if it's like a minigame, it shouldn't be a skill. For instance here, Lamau, even when you talk about sailing, you make it sound like a minigame, definitely not a skill. I didn't realize that those had to be like so mutually exclusive. Like, in general, skills kind of are minigames, and as they've been improving other skills, they've been adding minigames to them. Like, I think in general, the people who want a new skill, in a lot of cases, I guess, they're trying to look for something new to train. So just adding a mini game and not adding like the level to it. If it's a mini game that's related to another skill, you just kind of get to skip and go right to like the meta if you're just already like 99 in that skill. That being said, like, if they added, let's say, both other skill options get into the game, we get 2 new skills that are shamanism and taming, and then we also get sailing, but it's just a mini game. I have no problem with that. I'm definitely not like, sailing has to be a skill, but if we don't get sailing just because people don't want it to be a skill, and that, I mean, that's not the only thing that people have ever complained about with sailing, but if that's like the main thing that would happen, that would be very upsetting. Like, why can't it be a skill just because it's like a mini game? I'm not 100% sure on. I would like to see sailing just for the irony, but realistically, I see options for mini games, travel utilities, links to construction, fishing, hunter, and like the idea of getting more Fossil Island types additions. So in other words, sailing will add a lot to the game. I think a lot of people that are interested in sailing are, for the most part, interested in seeing something that just unlocks a bunch of stuff, which is not as, that would be a little less mini game like too. There's not that many mini games that like entire land masses or bosses are just locked behind doing that mini game enough. So I guess that could take the minigame feel away from it for anybody who doesn't like that. I honestly could see these all being cool additions to other skills rather than skills in themselves. They definitely could squeeze some of these into another skill as like a big skilling update. But But in general, Jagex has already, they've been putting a lot of work into other skills. They've already been doing this. It would be nice to actually just get a new skill out of it. So I guess if what you're saying is that we need something very unique that is nothing like any of the other skills, then I understand that, but sailing might be the closest. Like, would you squeeze sailing into fishing? That seems a little crappy. And then also, like, the whole point, if sailing was just part of fishing, then anybody with 99 fishing gets to just do the fastest method in sailing right away. Or if shamanism was added to, I don't know, herb lore seems similar in a way, whatever. Then, like, anybody with 99 already gets to just do the fastest method. If taming was added to hunter, anybody with 99 just gets to start with the fastest method. Like, for new content here, we're looking for a new skill. We all get to start from scratch. I feel like between these 3 skills, there's going to be a new teleport / fast travel mechanic implement. Teleport as shaman, fly as beast tamer, sail as a sailor. I think that's something I hadn't thought about. It's actually very reasonable. There could be some more travel mechanics coming in hot, which in general, especially early game, for the most part, early game, it's like get spells and law runes or find some niche teleports, like doing some diaries, getting your arty cloak and stuff. I think having more travel options in general is good for the game. I enjoyed dungeoneering back in the day. The only skill that felt like a mini game. It was fun to grind, bro. See, this guy wants the skill to feel like a mini game. To be fair, as they continue to upgrade the other skills that are in the game and add more and more methods to them, they more often than not add a mini game to that skill. So I feel like skills and mini games are very related. Why? I don't understand the mutually exclusive part. I agree that, like, feels like a mini game, fun to grind. I will be voting no on all skills regardless of what is pitched. I firmly believe old school does not need new skills. We still have so many that are fucking miserable to train until the rest of the game is fun. No new skills. Where do I start with this one? It's a fair point that, like, if we don't need to add more stuff if the rest of the stuff sucks. But, like I already said, they're working on the old skills. They're constantly adding new methods to the old skills. Like, we're going to be getting forestry for woodcutting before any of these new skills, or even if Desert Treasure 2 happens, we'll be getting a skill upgrade with woodcutting. How exactly it's balanced and how much you like that update, I guess, is up in the air, but Jagex is actively working on the old skills. And on the note of, like, old school doesn't need new skills, they don't need a new skill. Like, it's not a requirement. Clearly, I put thousands of hours in this game without a new skill, and I will continue to play it if no skill gets added in. But I don't see that as a reason to just vote no just because it doesn't need a new skill. And I think it's just your wording on this one that got me. Until the rest of the game is fun, no new skills, I gotta say, man, why are you playing RuneScape if the rest of the game is not fun? Nice video, man. I like the format. Thank you. Down the line, if I could add some interesting niche skilling equipment to my ship would be awesome. Imagine you can have an extra brewery or an herb patch right on the ship. Use the breathing apparatus to explore underwater while evading PKers. Sounds limitless in potential, to be honest. Bro, Sea of Thieves life. Also, in terms of underwater, dude, right when Raids 3 came out and everybody was, you know, now everybody talks about Raids 4. What's Raids 4 going to be? And I was asked what I thought Raids 4 would be. I didn't really have a great option, so I jokingly said, well, there will have to be like an underwater raid because they haven't really done enough underwater content. If sailing passes and then we get an underwater raid, higher level construction means you can do more with your ship, be a great way to intertwine it with the current game, though I disapprove of your herb patch idea when you're playing One Piece MMO. I do think the herb patch on the ship is kind of a strange option, but I do like the fact that if you had a higher level ship, it could potentially just be more beneficial for you in general, not only on sailing, but being able to use it for other skilling things. Finally, been looking forward to the video on this. Oh, this is Look It's a Fish. What's up, brother? I came up with one more idea instead of shamanism for the name. Naturomancy? Naturomancy, maybe? Probably about the same level as shamanism for me. Team sailing, it'll be most dev work, but has so much potential without breaking the rest of the game. So that kind of leans similar to what a comment was saying before, how sailing could be, for the most part, like, its own entity. Like, it doesn't have to affect the rest of the game too much. And where it does affect the rest of the game, where you maybe unlock new content that you wouldn't get to do without sailing, they still could balance that. Like, there's, to argue whether that's going to be broken or, like, not worth doing, that's what the next step of the vote is for. Like, it could be broken. They could have buffs and like new methods that are way too good for the game, but maybe not. Like, that's what we get to vote on next. I feel like shamanism could boost the economy most by requiring existing items that people probably buy off the GE. It would also change the meta and make people upset that their setup is no longer perfect best in slot. I do kind of want shamanism to at least use some existing items in the game. I know people don't want it to be buyable. I don't want it to be straight up buyable. I think you should still have to grind in some way, but I think it would be good for the economy to also use existing items in the game, specifically skilling items. Sailing sounds cool, but the control seems kind of iffy, especially on mobile. Yeah, it's a very fair point. I wouldn't mind seeing it finally in-game just for catharsis and see some more sea shanties. Bro, the sea shanties too. Definitely the navigation, like controlling your ship in general is going to be something that probably requires a couple runs at the beta if it gets that far with sailing. As much as they updated Fishing Trawler and they added Temperos, there really isn't that much that's different about it. And I think it was Mod Husky had brought up that we actually have like navigation with on the way to Fossil Island is just that one little menu, and he's like, we could expand on that a lot more, where you're actually steering the ship, like trying to dodge certain things in the water, actually navigating that way instead of just like click and wait. Taming would be cool. Just add some non-boss pets in the game, kind of like farming, but with livestock. It sounds a lot like summoning of the pouches and scrolls, which will change the meta and make people upset like it always does. Yeah, that's the worst part, is that people are just upset that the meta would change. Like, that's how updates work, bro. We don't need the same meta for the next, like, 10 years on RuneScape. Like, there should be new best in slot stuff. If it changes too much, if things are just broken, old moneymakers that were good, old methods that were fun to do are now useless, like, that's shitty. Of course, there's balance to it. But just because it adds something that's like best in slot or a new meta, I don't see why that's a problem. Dude, I appreciate you, Hydrogonize? Did I say that right? I appreciate you for actually giving like full thoughts on each one, not just like no or yes. Lost Ark had sailing and felt like a whole other game, which was detached from the main game. Felt like a distraction and didn't like it. Interesting. So we had a couple of comments that were saying they liked how it may not be part of the main game very much. And I mean, it kind of depends. That could just be, sailing could still be for you if they had sailing more intertwined with the main game. But if they do sailing where it's its own thing and all it does is unlock other islands, then maybe it's not for you. Nice April Fool's joke. Bro, I'm like 99% sure this is a copy pasta. Come on. Sailing was literally an April Fool's joke back in 2014, which most likely led to Dungeoneering skill being added. And now they're pitching it again in combination with other two suspicious skills that sound vaguely familiar to the other skills people wanted for a long time. And all of that around the same time of year. Yeah, my condolences for anyone that has hope for these to be added. I'll shed a tear for you all. To be honest, I don't know what I was expecting with the new skill, but this just doesn't do it for me. I don't really like any of them. I don't know. I'd rather wait and see for other pitches. I mean, that's fair. It would be cool to see like other pitches that we have. If none of these got enough traction, then maybe we could see another pitch. But I really don't see how you're gonna get that much different. Like these three skills kind of, they cover like a lot of the different things that we could try to get in a new skill. I don't know how much different you can get from these. Doggo! I'm alone today. Doggo already left me. Having sea creature raid would be cool, or new area and bosses, but I don't know that sailing needs to be a skill for this to happen. I don't know how I feel about any of these skills, though. Yeah, I don't think sailing necessarily needs to be a skill. I don't have a problem with it being a skill. Oh, look at this response. Nothing needs to be a skill, but doesn't mean it won't be one of the best skills in the game. Yeah, just nothing needs to be a skill necessarily, but a lot of people are just kind of nitpicking, like skill, minigame, raid, like activity, like we're looking for more fun gameplay that gives you a lot of hours worth of grinds that also is beneficial to your account. I am firmly no new skill life at this point, but I still appreciate hearing your thoughts on them. Well, I appreciate you, Soulfish, for being very amicable about it. I don't quite understand exactly where people are coming from. Like, no matter what, no new skill. Even one of the comments here says, I'll never understand this opinion. And then this guy was upset about it. We'll get to him in a minute. I don't think the game's going to be ruined if there's never a new skill. I don't think this is some requirement that the game better get a new skill or else. I don't see the problem with having a new skill. I think it could be a lot of fun. Sure, they could fuck it up, but they could fuck up any update. We'd like to focus on navigating as a core mechanic. Do you guys not think of what's in the game in regards to sailing/boats at the moment? It's gross, bailing, fixing necks, clunky as. This game won't be able to pull off smooth sailing feel ever. Well, they could at least fucking try though, right? Like, if we exhausted all the potential options for sailing a ship in this game, it's just physically impossible to make it fun to sail. I can understand why that would make sailing like 3 out of 3 for you if you're like, I just don't see it being a good option. But to just straight up be like, nope, not gonna happen when we haven't even gotten to try it is kind of wild. Here's my boy, dude, Magog. Enjoy this game while it lasts. A new skill will kill the game because the content is lazy. The same guy responded over here with the, I'm firmly known as new skill life, and then I'll never understand this opinion. And we don't understand yours. I hope you like playing with nobody online because that's what it's going to be like. Bro, who are you? I guess my two main things here is like, because the content is lazy, we don't fucking know what it's gonna be yet. All we have is an idea of the skill and the type of gameplay. Like, it could be lazy. You might be right, but this is just like a negative look at it. Like, they're gonna ruin it without even letting them try. And then I hope you like playing with nobody online because that's what it's gonna be like. I mean, a lot of players seem to be excited for a new skill, maybe not the vast majority. You definitely could argue whether or not the overall like online player count is going to go up or down depending on how well the skill does, but to just act like the game's just going to instantly die just because they add a new skill that we don't even actually know the balance of any of the content yet, I would have to say that's pretty lazy on your end. Having a little bit of patience and seeing exactly what the full idea turns out to be could help you out. Bro, maybe it sucks and we all end up voting no, but this is like phase 2. We literally just got the pitches and you're like, the content's gonna be lazy and everyone's gonna quit. Sailing looks like the most fun to actually play. I do agree that sailing looks like it's gonna actually be the best gameplay overall. Bro, this comment has 12 likes on it too. Not that many comments in my comment section get up to like 10 plus likes in general. I'm sure you've seen videos with hundreds, if not thousands of likes on a comment, but if you got 10 plus on a comment around here, you're doing all right. Shamanism idea that sounds fun. Enhanced Thorax hammers to proc a chain lightning effect. Bro, that could be pretty dope. I think the idea in general of the totems or the tikis or whatever from shamanism, being able to augment items and pretty much buff like any item in the game could potentially like down here you're kind of saying like stay away from buffing the stuff that's already strong enough. They don't necessarily need to just decrease the gap between like mid-level gear and high-level gear. Like they could just buff all gear with the new skill so that at any level of gameplay this could be valuable to you. Taming or bust, that a boy, that one Zerk. Taming has kind of been third on the list for me, to be fair, but I appreciate you standing your ground on Taming. I haven't seen Taming get like a ton of hate in general. A ton of hate like compared to the other two. I think each skill has gotten its share of hate, not like everybody loves every skill necessarily. Pokemon Simulator actually be kind of sick. I don't think they're taking it down that path though. Yeah, so that's back-to-back thumbs up for Taming's coming in hot. I don't think it'll be too much like Pokemon gameplay-wise, even if it does make it, but I don't know how much faith I have that Taming is moving on. Taming kind of ruins pets and shamanism messes with the meta. Let's start with Taming kind of ruins pets. This one I've heard a couple times and I just very simply have to ask, how? If anything, this would give value to pets. Now, if all the pets that are currently in game, they don't have any buffs and they just stay cosmetic, how does it actually like ruin them? Pets are just cosmetic anyway, and very few people are watching you with your pet while you're doing like an herb run. So if you now have to bring a rabbit with you to get more herbs during your herb run, you don't get to have your pet with you. That's kind of a bummer then. You either get the old amount of herbs you used to always get, or you get the new amount of herbs with the other pet. It doesn't like ruin the pet. Nothing gets worse from what it used to be. And it's just as possible that they might add buffs to the current pets in the game. Sailing can be implemented in the game without having to be a skill. Slayer and many other skills are dead boring content. Dude, bro, Slayer's my favorite skill. It could be use a redoing / upgrade this old outdated boring content before making a new skill. Okay, we already talked about this earlier. They're actively working on making all of the skills better. Like, they constantly add new stuff to just about every skill. They just keep bouncing around with each skill and adding more and more things. And there isn't just one single team of developers that only works on one project at a time. Like, they can actively work on the old skills and add a new skill. Failing, laming, or shamanism, the choice is yours. Sailing sounds boring as fuck. Didn't earlier we had like sailing sounds like the only fun one, and then we have sailing sounds boring as fuck. I mean, fair. Like, not everybody's gonna enjoy the same gameplay. Like, if it sounds boring to you, it sounds boring to you. Here it is again. Isn't taming going to undermine pets? I just don't see how, but I just could be missing something. Like, I'm actually asking how. I'm not just saying like nope and moving on. Like, I do mean it. How would it undermine pets? Vote anything except taming with the 10 likes. Poor taming. Can't wait for the meta to become, let me go gather these specific resources to temporarily buff my armor and weapon for Cox. Oh shit, my buff ran out. Let me go restart. We're doing top now. 1 sec, gotta change buffs. Can't think of anything worse than a skill that is going to add an extra step to do before optimally doing anything and everything in this game. Wait, so that means either we don't get new things, we don't get new optimal upgrades, or the only way that we get something that's like new and optimal is if there's no added steps and it's just free? I'm not sure I really understand this take completely. Either way, like, here's what happens. Either you get new buffs and now it requires a little bit more time to use those buffs and then you get to go do the old content better, or you could just not use the buffs and still do the old content the same exact way you've been doing it. So that just sounds so balanced to me. Like, you could spend more time and now things will be better. Can't think of anything worse than having to do things and then getting rewarded for it. Tom H, maybe I vastly misread how you said it, but that just seems like such a reasonable way. That's how buffs work. That's how upgrades work. And they may not even be temporary. Maybe that's the main thing, is you would rather a permanent buff so that you don't have to keep going back and doing it. That could be how the balance is. We don't know yet. Here's why basing things off of likes in the comments section is always a wild ride too. Check this one out. So earlier we had like a vote anything except taming had 10 likes. There was something about sailing being fun, having 12 likes. Here's everybody please vote for sailing, 1 like. And then just all caps, vote sailing. 24 likes, bro. Just depends. If your comment gets high up, you're more likely to maybe get somebody to just press like. None of that actually matters, though. Just my opinion, your opinion, any individual just being like, this looks fun, that doesn't look fun, doesn't necessarily make any of us more right than somebody else. I think the main thing is as long as we get a skill that is going to be fun gameplay, a lot of gameplay added to the game, potentially give us good buffs, balanced buffs that won't ruin other things, and then if you don't like the skill, like, you don't have to do it. That's a part that gets a lot of people. If it adds buffs to the game, people are like, well, now I have to do it so that I can do things faster. I can do more damage. I can harvest things faster. No, you don't, because if they didn't add it to the game, you would still just be doing it the old way. So now that they added it to the game, you can still just do it the old way if you want, if you really hate the new thing that much. Understandably, though, that's not ideal. You would rather buffs be added to the game through some gameplay that you enjoyed. I do understand that. But do try to be aware that whichever skill you like, there are some people that don't like it. So whether or not your skill gets into the game, the one you wanted or not, like, try to be open-minded about it. Each of them have potential to have enjoyable gameplay that could add buffs to the game that may be broken, may be useless, may be balanced well. That's literally the next step is what we go over that. Anyways, I'm ranting too much. I don't have any comments to edit, so you've just been staring at my blurry face for a little while. I'm going to move over to the results of the poll, which is actually happening in a couple hours. So I'm gonna go start editing this video, and I will see you guys at the poll results. All right, unfortunately, I can't really wait any longer for these poll results to come out. We're still just looking at a bunch of dashes. As you can see, I voted all 3 of them. I liked the multiple choice, but I did go for sailing. I think that shamanism is likely to get the most votes of these 3. Even I didn't like any of them. We'll probably get a decent chunk. I know there's a lot of folks who don't want any new skill, but then even some folks who don't like any of the 3, but maybe still want a new skill. So I think the votes will be spread out pretty evenly, but I can't wait any longer before I won't get the video out on time. It's supposed to be like an hour and a half from now that the upload goes public, and I got to render it and upload it. So that's going to wrap it up. That is going to wrap up this video, though, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. I stream on Twitch. It should be linked on the screen and in the description. If you've been enjoying the content, be sure to follow me on Twitch. By the time you watch this video, maybe the actual result of the poll has happened. I'll probably be asleep once the poll results come out, and I'll wake up to see what happens. But other than that, I think it's time to wrap up the video. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed, and best of luck on your games.